My name is John Cannon. You're getting ready to hear something that I wish had never happened. And it happened to my father, and there's a possibility that it will happen to one of your family members. And I never want that to happen. Before I start, and I can get very emotional, I want to have a little fun. My father was probably the biggest Georgia fan ever. He went to the first Georgia-Yale game in 1929, the first game played at Sanford Stadium. Also, before the war, he was a football scrub for Coach Butts at UGA. He and my father had, for 40 years, had season tickets, went to close to 500 football games home and away. I saw Herschel gain every yard he ever gained. But my father's favorite player was Charlie Trippi. And if you're a Georgia fan, you've probably heard of Charlie Trippi. Mr. Trippi is the oldest living Pro Football Hall of Fame member. You've probably also heard of Bill Goldberg, who played for the Atlanta Falcons and for Georgia. Mr. Goldberg signed that to my father. I have still dozens and dozens and dozens of Georgia memorabilia items from years ago. But this is not about football. This is about something far worse. I am a Christian, and this is a Bible, and I'm putting my hand on it. Everything that is getting ready to come out of my mouth is the absolute truth. And I have got suitcases of evidence to prove it. A few things have happened to me. By now, probably most of you know what a whistleblower is. Well, I'm a whistleblower, but not in the true sense. My father was a patient at Emory University Hospital, which is the major hospital in Atlanta, Georgia. Emory healthcare system now owns 12 major Atlanta metro hospitals, over 200 rehab facilities, and they employ over 2,500 doctors. They also supply doctors and residents to the VA hospital on Claremont Road in Atlanta, and also to one of the largest public hospitals in the United States called Grady. Emory is as powerful as it gets. And I've had a former Emory whistleblower tell me without hesitation that Emory is the mafia. They can do anything to anyone they want at any time to shut them up if you know stuff about them that they don't want to ever be told. You may or may not know this. Emory is a private Christian Methodist hospital and university, basically owned by major donations of millions and millions of dollars each year from Coca-Cola. I mentioned that I have been threatened, and I'm still being threatened. This is being filmed in a motel room in a North Metro Atlanta city. I've been here for 3 years and 5 months. I'm missing teeth that have been knocked out. I can no longer see out of my left eye because I was forced to take a poison. I've been beaten. I have a scar at my right temple. I'm in kidney failure. I have been on kidney dialysis. My glasses are broken from beatings I have taken. This is a story, again, that never, ever should have ever happened. But it did. And it happened more than 15 years ago. I've written a book called Murder on Clifton Road that before I end this segment, I will tell you how you can pull it up and read it free of charge. I have set up a GoFundMe account. You can find it by Googling GoFundMe Murder on Clifton Road. If you could make any donations, I would appreciate them. A cousin who thought I was dead for 7 years is helping me, and I took my Social Security early. At the time this happened, I was married. My wife divorced me shortly after it happened, and we have one beautiful special needs daughter who's been through pure hell. I'm going to tell you how this all started. And I know we all have short attention spans, and so there will be some more segments. But I'm going to take you through the first few weeks of what happened at Emory University Hospital that never, ever needed to have happened the way it did. On 10/22, October the 22nd of 2004, on a Friday afternoon, I took my totally independent World War II American hero father, who fought at the Battle of the Bulge with General Patton and was wounded 3 times, who was an Atlanta fireman for 40 years and fought 1,955 fires, and then retired from the fire department and was a school crossing guard at the same Dekalb County Elementary School for 22 years. He retired when he was 84 years old. I'm an only child. My mother passed away with cancer in 1996. On October the 22nd, 2004, my father was suffering from low back muscle spasms. Nothing else. Totally independent, lived at the home that he and my mother built in 1953, exactly 1 mile from Emory. I really did not want to take him to Emory. I knew they were muscle spasms, and that within a few days, with some heat and some medication over the counter, they would clear up. But remember, I have a special needs child. My father did not want me to have to stay with him all weekend. So he said, son, get me to Emory. So at 12:07 p.m. on that Friday afternoon, I checked my father in. He was taken to the 7th floor waiting area, a large waiting area waiting for a regular room. He was put in a hospital bed. The only pain he had was when he would try to rotate or bend over. He could lie flat in bed. He was fine. I'm going to also show you some evidence that shows how Emory lied about all of it. When I admitted my father in this large waiting room on the 7th floor, the whole floor was being redone. He was the only patient on the whole floor. He was admitted and waited for a regular room. I stayed with my father until 2:15 p.m. At that time, I left to go pick up my child from school. And I told my father and the Emory resident, whose name, yes, I know, but at this time, I'm not going to reveal it, and an Emory nurse and an Emory receptionist. Those were the only people on the entire floor. Emory is a teaching hospital, recognized as one of the finest, top 10 teaching research hospitals in America. At roughly 4 o'clock, the Emory admitting doctor, who I had never met, she and the Emory resident, who was there when I left, did an exam on my father. And in the process, they dropped my father off his hospital bed, flat on his back, onto the hard hospital floor. And that's when this massive Emory hospital cover-up and conspiracy began that would eventually murder my father and totally destroy my family. And I've been on the run for the last 15 years trying to stay alive. And I know you want to ask the questions. How much money did I get? Did I get a good attorney? And if there were crimes involved, did I go to the law? All good questions. And those will all be addressed. But when they dropped my father, they had my phone number. but they immediately did not call me. 16 days later, after this, when my father was finally able to communicate with me, and I asked him an important question. Dad, what happened to you after I left you? He told me exactly what happened to him. But I'm going to go back to day one. So at 4 o'clock, 2 Emory doctors accidentally dropped my father roughly 5 feet on the hard hospital floor, directly on his back. They took him down to the first floor in the radiology department and did an MRI. To do that, however, they had to IV him with incredible amounts of morphine so he wouldn't be shaking so they could do an MRI. The MRI results were not good. He had fractured a bone in his back at thoracic 10, which is lower back. He was basically paralyzed from the waist down. At this time, my father was comatose. At that time, these 2 Emory doctors made a decision, and it wasn't an ethical one, nor a legal one. They forged my father's signature onto an illegal do not resuscitate form. I want to be showing you a few things. Here's the form. It was an illegal form. They forged my father's signature. This form, if you're not a medical person, this gave Emory the illegal criminal right to kill him. Emory never wanted me to have this. I did not get this from Emory. I got this from another company called Healthport, a medical records copying company that wanted me to have it because they knew it was legally mine. Emory never ever wanted me to see it. Also, what they didn't want me to see from day one was the MRI that was done on 10/22/04, showing the results of the MRI, showing the seriousness of the drop. I did not get this from Emory. I also got this from Healthport. Also, what Emory did want me to have were nurses' notes that they lied on that first day of his admission. And the nurses' notes want you to believe that he never went down and had an MRI, that they never dropped him. And I've got them in here, and here they are. It states that actually my father was admitted at 12:37 p.m. That is correct. I may have said 12:07 before. 12:37. Then they start this long, roughly averaging every 15 to 20 minutes, saying what they're doing to my father. He was only there for low back muscle spasms. But what they want you to believe is he never left the 7th floor until they admitted him at 7 o'clock to a private room on the 6th floor. These are lies. In the medical industry, this is called fluff, which is a falsification of medical records. Again, these are felonies, punishable, major prison time. So now you might start to understand why Emory has tried to shut me up. I want to show you something also from that first day. Up until 4 o'clock, they state that my father's pain level was 0. The only pain he had was with movement. Stated psychologically, he was fine. Well, after they dropped him, he wasn't fine. When I showed up at 7 o'clock that evening, I went to the front desk and was told my father was in the 6th floor in a private room. I walked in my father's room. I'm his only child. He did not even know who I was. He was moaning and screaming from the pain. And Emory nurses did not tell me anything. At this point, I'm going to leave it at that. Except I am going to tell you what my father did tell me on day 16 when he was still alive, even though Emory wanted him to already be dead. Because what Emory really wanted, and they had set it up with the forged signature on the DNR form, so when I got there at 7 o'clock that evening, Emory would have told me my father died of a heart attack. 88-year-old man, Emory tells you your father died of a heart attack? That's believable. And they would have pulled off the perfect murder. But on day 16, my father was finally able to talk to me. And I asked him, Dad, what happened to you when I left you at 2:15 to pick up my daughter from school? He looked me straight in the eye and he said, son, they dropped me and they dropped me hard. I was on the floor rolling in pain and screaming. I put my arms around two legs with a skirt on. And I know who that female doctor was because she's the same doctor that forged his signature on that DNR form. And then he said, I must have passed out. That's the first segment of this YouTube. We're going to be updating this at least once a week. I'll start telling you more and more of the story. I did not get my father home for 8 months. And I got him home in a wheelchair and bedridden. He lost weight down to 105 pounds. If you've ever seen a paralyzed person, his legs were the size of a pencil. But that's just part of this story. Not only is this a massive criminal cover-up, this is not medical malpractice. Not only is this a massive criminal cover-up inside Emory Hospital walls, as you will begin to learn, this goes well outside hospital walls to the law, corruption, crooked attorneys, media who will not touch this story because Emory, with their power and influence and money, controls everything. I'm very blessed to still be alive. My cousin, who's been helping me, thought I was dead for 7 years. My little girl, when I went underground for my safety, she thought I was dead. Please, I need your help. I want you to email me at Smoltzie, Smoltzie, the number 4, the number 10, at gmail.com. If I can help you in any way, because I know some of y'all have stories. And if I'm talking to some of you who happen to be in the medical profession, you know all about fluff and all about something else that I'll be talking about in the next couple weeks called a slow and a show deadly criminal do not resuscitate. Again, I've got a GoFundMe account that I want to use to publicize this. There also was a book written called Waking Up Blind, written by a former Emory doctor about a massive cover-up at Emory. This is not the first time. You can YouTube Waking Up Blind. There is a 26-minute description by Dr. Harbin pertaining to this cover-up. It's massive. There also are several books that have been written about hospital cover-ups, secret language of doctors, and the nurses. Again, this is all sick. It goes on all the time, not only at Emory. But I'm a former cardiac therapist. I know all about cover-ups. It's sick. And it's probably happened to one of your family members in the past, if you think about it. So please contact me. And if you've ever seen the movie called The Verdict with Paul Newman, it's about a Boston hospital cover-up. It's a fascinating movie. Probably Paul Newman's best movie. Did not win an Academy Award. But it shows you how these cover-ups start and finish. And a lot of times the patient dies or is in a vegetated state. So please, if I can help you, please, please let me know. Again, I'm a Christian. Everything I've told you the truth, and everything I will ever tell you is the truth, and I've got all the evidence in the world to back it up. But no one ever wants me, nor did they want my father, to ever tell this story in front of a jury. And that's really, really sad, because in that not being done, when this was reported to law enforcement in 2005, thousands and thousands and thousands of elderly patients have died needlessly from hospital and nursing home cover-ups. Thanks you again for your time. And please, please contact me. Go to GoFundMe, Murder on Clifton Road, pull the book up. This is only a portion of the book. There will be more. But again, it gets no worse than this in the medical profession, and it must stop. And I'm going to stop it, because my father is dead, and one of the things I promised him on his deathbed was to get him justice so that this never happens to another old person at Emory nor their family. And I haven't got him that yet. So when I buried him in January of 2007 next to my mother, so that's what, 12 and a half years ago, I have not been by his grave, because I have not got him justice. Thank you for your time, and God bless you.